orange. My monkey slippers are blue. Psst. Can you get me some of that magic mud you were talking about? Because I have a terrible case of writer's rash on my...
Don't play with me. I am not the one.
Hey, welcome to my channel, welcome back. Today I'm gonna dive into a film that most people have either seen, know about, or maybe haven't watched it yet, and that's fine. The film I'm talking about is Coraline, released back in 2009. Before I talk about this film, I just want to mention that making stop motion films takes a long time to make, and I just want to appreciate it for a second because films like Wallace and Gromit, Frankenweenie, Corpse Bride, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Isles of Dogs, and much more are just
perfect. Perfect.
So let me stop rambling because I don't want to make this intro too long. And without further ado, what is Coraline about? The movie opens up with a mysterious person sewing a doll that looks exactly like the main character, who will be introduced later in the film. It's a bit creepy, but oddly satisfying to watch. Why? I don't know. The scene that shifts to a pink house called the Pink Palace Apartments, located in the woods, where it seems like someone new is moving in. We're introduced to the main character, Coraline. Coraline who?
Coraline Jones.
And a black cat who will play an important role later in the story. One thing you have to know about Coraline is that she's very adventurous. While exploring outside, she encounters the same cat that was stalking her, and she also meets Wybie, also known as Wyborn, also known as Why Were You Born? His name is a bit unusual, but what can we say? Later, we see Coraline at home with her parents, who are really busy with work, and they don't have much time for her. They look kind of miserable, which is kind of understandable given their workload. Coraline's mum gave her a strange gift from Wybie, a doll that looks exactly like her, the same one we saw in the opening scene. Coraline, feeling ignored, decides to explore the house. While snooping around, she listed all the furniture in the house and accidentally turns off the electricity, which erases all the work her dad has done on his computer. I feel it's pain because imagine you have a deadline the next day and you lost everything because of a power cut and you didn't save it. At this point, your options are pretty limited. A. Pull an all-nighter. B. Submit nothing. C. Just give up and accept failure. Which one would you choose? Jumping back into the movie, Coraline finds a hidden door inside the living room and asks her mum to open it, though her mum isn't too thrilled. And guess what's on the other side? Nothing. Just a wall of bricks. At dinner, Coraline's dad serves something so unappetizing that even Coraline can't bring herself to eat it. And I don't blame her for that. Later, she heads to bed with her doll, but is awakened by a sound of a mouse inside her room. Instead of closing the door and calling for help like most people would, she decides to follow it. The mouse leads her back to the hidden door, where she opens it again. This time, there's a magical portal on the other side. Coraline's curiosity takes over and she enters it, finding herself in what looks like a house, but it feels kind of different. She follows a nice smell coming from the kitchen, where she's surprised to see her mum cooking, even though her mum doesn't cook at all.
Fine, we've been through this before. Your dad cooks, I clean, and you stay out of the way.
When this person turns around, Coraline notices she has buttons for eyes, but strangely, Coraline isn't scared. If it was me, for an example, there's a 90% chance that I will be running back to that portal. Coraline then meets her other dad, who can surprisingly sing and play piano. Dinner in this world is much better compared to her world. This alternate world seems to be everything Coraline could wish for. A perfect version of her reality. The only thing you have to know about the other parents is that they are more playful and the other mother seems especially keen on games and fun.
Play a game. You mean like hide and seek? Perfect. Hide and seek in the rain.
What? Oh no, see that's what we not about to do. You need to be under the jail. Like what? What you say? Yeah, arrest him immediately.
But when she wakes up in her world, the portal that she once saw is gone. She tells her parents about it, but of course they don't believe her. Later, we meet some of Coraline's neighbors. First, there's Mr. Babinski, the tall eccentric Russian who lives upstairs. He's a 7-foot circus performer with jumping mice, and he warns Coraline through them to stay away from the hidden door. But do you think Coraline is gonna listen to that?
No!
Then we meet the other neighbours, Miss Mariam and Miss April, 2 retired actresses who live downstairs. April warns Coraline of danger too, though no one seems to take it seriously, not even Coraline. YB also hints that the house might be dangerous, adding to the mystery. That night, Coraline sets treats for the mouse, and again follows it through the portal. In the other world, she learns even more about the other parents. Her other dad is a gardener, and the other mum can be manipulative sometimes, but she doesn't realise it. We also get introduced to the other YB, but in this world, he can't speak. She and the Meet YB go and see Mr. Babinski's performances with the mice. But as she heads to bed, her other parents and YB just stood there, watching her until she passes out. When she wakes up, she's back in the real world, looking disappointed. Coraline and her real parents spend more time together, with her dad getting dropped off at work. Later, Coraline goes back to school shopping with her mum, which is not exciting at all. Even the uniform looks depressing. When they get home, her mum realises they're out of groceries and heads back outside to go shopping. As soon as her mum leaves, Coraline makes the brilliant decision to go back through the portal, with the cat watching her through her window. Wait a minute, that name sounds familiar. When Coraline re-enters the other world, she finds a gift and a letter waiting for her in the kitchen. As she walks to a performance, she notices the black cat and that this cat can speak. The cat hints a little about the nature of this world and just leaves. At the show, Coraline, YB, a crowd of dogs enjoys the performance. This is one of those moments where you start to question if this is really a kid's film. Even Coraline seems to think it's strange. Afterwards, Coraline goes home with her button-eyed parents, though Mute YB doesn't seem too happy about it. Her other parents mention that if she wants to stay in this world forever, there's just one thing she has to do. What does she have to do, you might be wondering? She must sew buttons over her eyes, and of course, Coraline refuses. Trying to make her feel better, the other father encourages her, but in the worst way.
So sharp you won't feel a thing. Ow!
Absolutely disgusting, by the way.
Coraline quickly runs off to her room, collecting herself, removing anything that might distract her. When she wakes up, she realizes she's still in the other world. Now the atmosphere feels different, but in a bad way. Now frightened, Coraline tries to escape, but every path leads her back to the Pink Palace. Coraline manages to find a small door, but it's blocked, and the room suddenly fills with bugs furnitures. The other mother invites Coraline to try cocoa beans from Zanzibar, still alive wiggling, which is just disgusting. I forgot to mention that the other mother is a Belden, and if you have no clue what that is, it's basically a shape-shifting creature who lures children from another dimension, and the goal is to consume their flesh for strength, which is just messed up. Coraline demands to go home, but the other mother refuses. Coraline snaps back with something that made the Belden change into a different form from the count of 3 to 1. The other mother throws Coraline into a mirror as punishment. Inside the mirror, Coraline meets 3 ghostly children, the other mother's previous victims. They warn her about the dangers and reveal more about the other mother's true nature. Just then, Mute YB appears and frees Coraline, helping her to escape. When Coraline finally returns home, she finds the house empty. The YB that can speak shows up and asks Coraline for the door back. But instead, Coraline tells him everything that happened to her, and he just thinks she's crazy.
That's 'cause you're crazy!
Coraline goes to her downstairs neighbors for help finding her missing parents. They give her a special stone to help her find lost things. She heads home and cries herself to sleep until the cat shows up. Through the mirror, she sees her parents trapped inside. Realizing this, she must go back to the other world to save them. When Coraline returns, she finds her mother, who turns out to be the other mother. Coraline asks her to play a game, which makes her stop singing instantly. Coraline proposes a deal. If she wins, she'll be freed along with her parents and the ghost children. But if she loses, she'll stay forever in this world and let the other mother sew buttons into her eyes, which is a crazy thing to propose. The game begins and the other mother gives Coraline a hint. Coraline uses the stone from her neighbors to search for the ghost children's eyes in 3 locations: the garden, the circus room, and the auditorium. She almost loses the last eye, but the cat comes to her rescue. The game ends with Coraline refusing to give the other mother the ghost children's eyes, and lied to her, mentioning that her parents were behind the door as a way to actually find her parents. Coraline threw the cat towards the other mother, making her blind, and then the whole room turned into cobwebs, leading Coraline and the other mother to fall. As Coraline escapes, the other mother begs her to stay, but Coraline keeps going, determined to leave this world behind.
Fine, we're home. Mom! Dad, I missed you so much!
Back in her own world, Coraline's parents are home, completely unaware of what they're being through. Now, you would think the movie would just end here, with Coraline finally free.
No, 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 no.
That night, Coraline dreams of the ghost children thanking her for freeing them. However, they warn her that she's still in danger as long as the key exists. So, in the middle of the night, Coraline decides to bury it. But as she's about to do so, the Belden's hand follows her into the real world, trying to snatch the key from her. Just then, YB shows up to help her. How does YB know that she's outside? We don't know. Together, they throw the broken hand and the key into the well, sealing it to prevent the Belden from returning. YB apologizes to Coraline for not believing in her before. The movie ends with Coraline, her parents, neighbors, YB and his grandmother coming together to help in a garden. It closes with the famous line,
I'm Coraline Jones.
"To be honest, this whole thing could have been avoided if Coraline's parents had just given us some attention." And this is Coraline.